Tim Allen, aka the real Buzz Lightyear, just walked away from Toy Story 5, and Disney is in full-blown panic mode.
But the brass that did the first 4 movies is not this. This is a whole new team that really have nothing to do with the first movies.
After releasing the disastrous Lightyear, Disney should have learned its lesson, but instead, they doubled down on their woke agenda. And now, even Buzz himself has had enough. Fans have made it clear they don't want their favorite childhood classics turned into political statements. But instead of listening, Disney keeps pushing, and it looks like it's finally backfiring big time.
I don't like anybody telling me what to do. And lately, the left wants to tell everybody it's the we all know this, you should. Stop telling me what to do, you go do it.
So, what exactly led to this? Why is one of Disney's most beloved franchises suddenly on the verge of collapse? And is this the moment woke Hollywood finally faces reality? Let's dive in.
Well, like me, it's just like I'm a sci-fi buff. And you wonder if 4 was too many, is 5 going to be too much?
No.
And according to the scuttlebutt, the writer that's doing it wrote one of the better ones. And he said, if I didn't get this right, I wouldn't do it. So
It all started with what seemed like a dream come true for Toy Story fans. Tim Allen, the voice behind the beloved Buzz Lightyear, had confirmed his return for Toy Story 5, and the excitement was through the roof. After years of bringing the Space Ranger to life across multiple films and spin-offs, Allen was ready to step back into the recording booth. He even hinted that the storyline was something special, not just another sequel churned out for profit. Everything was going smoothly, until suddenly, it wasn't. Reports surfaced that Allen had walked away from the project, throwing the entire production into chaos. What could have possibly gone so wrong?
Character is a conservative.
Well, at point of view, but it's written by liberals. We have a liberal staff. We have
That goes
conservative.
without saying.
Allen's relationship with Disney hasn't exactly been the smoothest ride in recent years. The drama started in 2022, when Pixar made the unexpected decision to cast Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear in the spin-off film Lightyear. This move didn't sit well with longtime fans, many of whom felt Allen had been unfairly sidelined. The confusion over why the studio opted for a different voice actor sparked intense backlash, especially since Allen had been the voice of Buzz for decades. Some suspected politics were at play, considering Allen's outspoken conservative views in an industry that tends to lean the other way. The situation only got messier when Lightyear hit theaters and flopped hard. The movie made just $51.7 million during its opening weekend, a shocking underperformance for anything associated with Toy Story. Fans were vocal about their disappointment, with many arguing that the film felt disconnected from the franchise. Allen himself chimed in, expressing his confusion over the creative choices, particularly the decision to focus on the real Buzz Lightyear, rather than the toy version everyone knew and loved. To make matters worse, he pointed out that the team behind Lightyear was completely different from the one that had worked on the previous Toy Story films, leading some to believe Disney was intentionally distancing itself from him.
I find odd in Hollywood is that they didn't like Trump because he was a bully. But if you had any kind of inkling that you were for Trump, you got bullied for doing that.
But that wasn't the only controversy surrounding Lightyear. The film included a same-sex kiss, which resulted in bans in several countries, including Malaysia and the UAE. While Disney refused to remove the scene despite knowing it could hurt box office performance in certain regions, the decision became yet another source of debate. Between Allen's absence and the backlash over the film's content, Lightyear found itself at the center of a culture war, and it did not end well for Disney. Adding fuel to the fire, around the same time, Disney found itself involved in a political battle over Florida's parental rights in education bill, which critics labeled the Don't Say Gay bill. The company's opposition to the legislation sparked outrage among conservatives and led to high-profile clashes with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Suddenly, Disney was no longer just a film studio. It had become a symbol of the country's deep political divide. For many audiences, it felt like the company was prioritizing social messaging over the strong storytelling that had made it a household name. Allen, on the other hand, has never been one to shy away from voicing his opinions. Over the years, he has spoken candidly about what it's like to be a conservative in Hollywood, even comparing the industry's atmosphere to 1930s Germany due to the pressure to conform. His long-running sitcom, Last Man Standing, which consistently pulled in strong ratings, was abruptly canceled by ABC in 2017.
What's good about American Family, but be provocative, and that's this guy, but Archie Bunker that went to University of Michigan.
ABC's entertainment president at the time, Channing Dungey, insisted the decision had nothing to do with politics and was purely about scheduling and business. According to her, ABC was moving away from Friday night comedies, and Last Man Standing just happened to be one of several shows getting the axe. She pointed out that Dr. Ken, The Real O'Neills, and American Crime were also canceled around the same time, making it seem like a routine business move. But fans weren't convinced, especially since Tim Allen had never been shy about his conservative views, and his character on the show was one of the few openly right-leaning protagonists on network television. Tim himself had his own suspicions. He famously said, "There's nothing more dangerous, especially in today's climate, than a funny, likable conservative." And given how Hollywood tends to lean politically, many people felt that his show was targeted specifically because it didn't fit the industry's usual narrative. Naturally, the backlash was immediate. Fans flooded social media, launched petitions, and called out ABC for what they believed was an attack on conservative values. Many saw this as yet another example of Hollywood's double standard, where progressive content is protected even when ratings decline, while anything right-leaning is quickly sidelined. But despite all the outrage, ABC stood firm on its decision, refusing to bring the show back.
I'm a liberal. And I said, that's where our show, we try to do this balance. And learn this word called compromise.
Then came the twist. Just when it seemed like Last Man Standing was done for good, Fox stepped in and revived it in 2018. And not only did the show return, it came back stronger than ever. The first episode of the revived series drew millions of viewers, proving that the demand for the show hadn't faded. Fox's decision to pick it up wasn't just a win for Tim Allen and his fans. It was a statement. It showed that cancel culture and Hollywood politics couldn't stop a show that people genuinely wanted to watch. Last Man Standing continued for 3 more seasons on Fox, finally wrapping up in 2021 after 9 successful seasons in total. This entire saga became a perfect example of the challenges conservative voices face in Hollywood. Tim has always been vocal about political correctness, especially in comedy. He's not one to tiptoe around sensitive topics, and that's part of what makes his humor stand out. In today's world, comedians have to be extra careful about every joke they make because people are so quick to take offense. But Tim? He refuses to let the so-called thought police dictate what he can and can't say. In an interview on The View, he expressed his frustration, saying, "I hate having to explain jokes. This is a thought police thing, and I do not like it." For him, comedy is about pushing boundaries, making people laugh, and sometimes making them uncomfortable in the process. But today, it feels like every word is put under a microscope, and one wrong joke can lead to being canceled. Despite all this, he continues to push back. He firmly believes that comedy is meant to poke fun at people who take themselves too seriously. In one interview, he pointed out that liberals have a very small sense of humor about themselves, which is why conservative comedians often have a harder time in Hollywood. He's also called out celebrities like Alec Baldwin and Robert De Niro for using their platforms to push political agendas, saying that while they have every right to express their opinions, their views aren't any more valid than anyone else's.